The person whose job it is to clean up the Brisbane Broncos' biggest scandals just became their biggest scandal herself. And wait until you hear what she crashed into while 3 times over the limit. Before we dive into this absolute train wreck of irony, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Because if you thought NRL drama couldn't get any wilder, you're about to be proven very, very wrong. So picture this. You're the media officer for the Brisbane Broncos. Your entire job revolves around damage control, spinning stories, managing crises, and keeping the club's reputation intact. You've probably got crisis management on speed dial and a PhD in how to make bad news sound less bad. But here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. Melissa Mallet, 39, the very woman who guided the Broncos through their recent player scandals, has just found herself on the wrong side of the law in the most spectacular way possible. And this isn't just any ordinary stuff-up. Oh no, this is the kind of irony that writes itself. Remember Ezra Mam's drug driving incident back in October? The one where he crashed into an Uber, injuring a woman and child? Well, guess who was probably crafting the press releases and managing the media storm around that disaster? Yep, our friend Melissa. But wait, it gets worse. Steve Renouf, the Broncos legend, also got caught driving with a blood alcohol reading of .197 just last week. Again, who do you think was likely handling the PR nightmare? You guessed it, Melissa Mallet. So here's this woman, spending her days cleaning up other people's drink and drug driving messes, probably thinking to herself, how hard is it to just not get behind the wheel when you're smashed? Well, apparently, pretty hard. On June 2nd, at 9:45 p.m. in Paddington, one of Brisbane's trendy inner-city suburbs, police responded to what can only be described as an automotive pinball situation. When officers arrived, they found what looked like a real-life game of bumper cars gone wrong. Multiple vehicles damaged, members of the public standing around, probably wondering what the hell just happened. And in the middle of it all, our PR expert. But here's the kicker, and this is where the story gets absolutely wild. Melissa had somehow managed to crash into not one, not two, but multiple parked cars. I mean, they weren't even moving. They were just sitting there, minding their own business, probably thinking they were safe from harm. Nope. When police spoke to Melissa, she was showing all the classic signs: slurred speech, confusion, and apparently zero memory of how she just turned a quiet street into a demolition derby. Her blood alcohol reading, 0.156. That's more than 3 times the legal limit, folks. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm 3 times over the limit, I can barely find my keys, let alone operate a 2-ton vehicle. But somehow, Melissa thought it was a brilliant idea to go for a drive. But here's what really blows my mind about this whole situation. The Broncos now have 3 people connected to the club facing drink or drug driving charges in less than a year. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. First Ezra Mam, then Steve Renouf, now their own PR person. At what point does someone at the club say, maybe we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship with alcohol and cars? I mean, if your crisis management expert is creating crises that need managing, you might want to reconsider your approach to crisis management. It's like hiring a fire chief who's also an arsonist. In the end, Melissa got off relatively lightly, a $1,000 fine and a 9-month license suspension with no conviction recorded. Honestly, losing her license might be the best thing that ever happened to the parked cars of Brisbane. But here's the real question. How does she go back to work? How do you manage PR for drink driving incidents when you've just been convicted of drink driving yourself? I imagine her next press release will be very understanding. The club acknowledges that sometimes good people make bad decisions after consuming 4 or 5 glasses of wine. We've all been there, am I right? Look, we all make mistakes. We all have those moments where we think we're fine when we're definitely not fine. But when your job literally involves cleaning up these exact same mistakes, the irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. The Brisbane Broncos have gone from being a rugby league club to being a cautionary tale about the dangers of alcohol and motor vehicles. At this rate, they're going to need a PR person just to manage their PR person's PR disasters. Maybe they should consider hiring someone who doesn't drink, or better yet, someone who doesn't drive. Actually, scratch that. Maybe they should just hire someone who doesn't leave the house. And that's a wrap on this absolute masterpiece of irony, folks. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Broncos' latest PR nightmare, make sure you're subscribed to Aussie Rugby Central, because trust me, if this year has taught us anything, it's that rugby league drama never sleeps. Hit that like button if you think Melissa should maybe consider a career change, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the Broncos' string of off-field incidents. Until next time, this has been Aussie Rugby Central, reminding you that in rugby league, the real entertainment sometimes happens off the field. Stay safe out there, and remember, if you're the person whose job it is to clean up scandals, maybe don't create any scandals yourself. Peace out, rugby fans.